time.
Yep.
Councilmember Tavalero.
Here.
Mayor Parham.
Present. Okay, moving to item 3, acceptance of agenda urgency items.
I move to accept the agenda as posted.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we'll move on to section 4, which is non-agenda.
X is from people passing through. That's a guesstimate, but I think it's real important that we now start thinking about this 2024 election, because if we don't do something soon, I really believe it's possible that down the road we could be looking at graveling some roads if we don't get the funding set up. So that's my thought on it. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Mazzoni.
No, at this time, nothing. Just hope everyone has a great new year. Surprised, huh, Ken? I have nothing to say, but anyway.
Let me ask you a couple.
I'll make up for it.
All right, Councilmember Tavalero.
I have a few things. Are you asking for that to be put on the ballot? Can I second his asking? Mr.
Not yet.
Oh,
If you think about it.
It's a report.
tell me when I can. So I'm on the local transportation committee, the LTC, which the director is here and she will speak tonight. We talked about a lot of things, but that's what she's here to talk about. One of the things I wanted people to know, and because I kind of knew it, but I didn't, there is a lovely gentleman in Mount Shasta. I shouldn't say that. I'm assuming he lives in Mount Shasta. I don't know where he lives. But he has Mount Shasta Taxi. And he does, people ask, is there an Uber in town? He's not an Uber, but he's Mount Shasta Taxi. And they do a lot of different things. They do transportation to the hospitals. They will do medication. He'll pick up and deliver medication. They actually just now purchased a 11-passenger van, and they are working with developing rides up to the ski park. And that's what the LTC and him and a little group are trying to work on. So if anybody asks about an Uber, there's Mount Shasta Taxi. We also had a presentation with PP&L, and one of the discussions with that was if all these power outages that we've had, and we're having them because they're fixing the lines and they have to do this and that. And if you have a medical device and if the power is out, I'm under the impression that people that have a medical device are instructed what to do when they get the medical device in case the power goes out, that they already have that all handled. But if they don't, contact the community resource centers. Then Carnivale dates with the Carnivale committee met for the first time for this year, and the Carnivale dates are July 10th through the 14th. So, I can't ask this. Can we change the council meeting date that week? Do I have to wait to ask that to a different time? Okay. No, I'm planning ahead. And the fire department had Santa and Mrs. Claus going around town before Christmas. It was very successful. Thank you guys for coming out and seeing the fire trucks. It was a lot of rain. The first night there was a little bit of rain, and the second night there was a lot of rain, and the third night was just right. kind of like the bears sleeping in the house. And I think that's all. They did, which, never mind. I'll say it to you, just to you, Tim. Okay. Because he's going to tell me I can't say it.
All right.
You'll love.
I am. I'm done.
You'll love this one. I have nothing to say tonight. I'm good.
All right.
Be nice and quiet.
Well, I just want to thank the staff for all their work with this last snowstorm and remind everybody in the community that we have more snow coming in the forecast. So please be safe and responsible out there and try not to travel unless you have to. All right, moving on we will go to
Presentation.
item 6, which is presentations, and we'll start with item A, which is Melissa Cummings, the Executive Director for the Siskiyou County Local Transportation Commission.
Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I needed to request, I'd need to leave at 6 o'clock, if I could, be excused at 6.
I'll make a motion to excuse Bob at 6,
I'll second.
not a minute before. No.
All right, we have a motion on the floor.
I'll
All
second.
approve?
Sure,
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
we could be done by now.
Check. That's why you got Chuck's chair.
All right.
I have a present.
We get a video?
Yeah, you get a video. I don't know if it's like right. Sorry. Yes, I was waiting for that right there. Introductions. So good evening, everyone. I am Melissa Cummins. I'm the Executive Director for the Siskiyou County Local Transportation Commission. And I am assuming I'm going to look to your tech guy and just say next. So this evening, these are actually, my goal is, has a couple purposes. One is to get out and meet with each of the city councils. I was the executive director for a few years, but I was trying to run a bus operation in some airports at the same time, so I didn't get to get out as much as I would hope to have. Now I'm the full-time executive director for the commission, so I have all the time in the world to do all sorts of fun stuff. So my reason for being here tonight is to kind of give you a little bit of an overview of what the commission does. I don't know if other than Councilmember Tabulero, what we do at the commission level. So if you could go ahead and move to the next slide for me. So the commission, we have, in our world of government, we have lots of acronyms. So the acronym is Siskiyou, the SCLTC, that stands for the Siskiyou County Local Transportation Commission. We are the RTPA, again, our wonderful acronym world we live in, which is the Regional Transportation Planning Agency for Siskiyou County. So we are technically a separate entity from the county itself. We are a standalone agency. We are responsible for the transportation planning within the entire region. So the entire county is my entire region that I work for. We act as a liaison between our local partners, which are the 9 incorporated cities and the county Public Works Agency, essentially, and state agencies on a variety of transportation-related projects. I know we have a project going to the California Transportation Commission next week on behalf of the City of Weed, and so I will be attending that meeting. I was planning on going in person, but the roads have been a little sketchy lately, so it might be a virtual attendee to be there to support the requests from the city, if there are any questions come up. And then we manage a variety of different programs, some of which we're going to talk about here in just a second. So go ahead, next slide. So the first one I wanted to mention, oh, thank you. Which do I just hit? Next. Okay. So the Regional Transportation Improvement Program, which we call the RTIP, the 2024 RTIP was just recently submitted to CTC, which is the California Transportation Commission, and Caltrans last month. That program is it's developed every 2 years. So we have on the even number years, we develop the program. On the odd number years, we at the local level develop what we want to submit to the commission. So this last go-around, the City of Weed projects that were included in that proposed programming, including it's got a lot of names, Alameda, Church, Kennedy, Wakefield, West Lincoln Rehab. And so with the funding that we had available, we were only able to include the first phase of that project for proposed programming. In future years, when we come back to this program in 2 years, we will look at the next phases, which would be your construction funding. So this cycle, we had $6.8 million in available shares, and consider shares as basically dollars to spend. For the entire region, I had $20 million in projects requested this round. And that sounds like a lot, but that's actually pretty typical. So it's not to be, a shocking point of information, but you can see, which I was very interested to hear, a potential tax measure. We have way more road needs in the county than we could ever hope to fund out of this program. So I wanted to show you quickly, there's an interactive map that we were able to develop in coordination with our county GIS specialist. And so the nice gentleman to my right is going to show you. So right now, the commission is still under the county's website. So if you go to the county website and you go under government and then Transportation Commission, and there is a link so you don't have to remember this. And then if you scroll down on the left-hand side here, under where it says RTIP and STIP, we have all of the documents for this program. And so the map that shows up right there, and before you click OK on that, I want to point out the second paragraph in that slide. And I don't have my long distance glasses on, but it basically says, this is what was proposed. This is not guaranteed. This depends on a lot of factors, including the agency priorities. So if the city of Weed comes back to the commission and says, that project is no longer our priority, we would like to substitute this project, it is based on your desired priority for your projects in your area. So we put that on there because we don't want the public to think this is an absolute guarantee, this is when the project's going to get constructed, because as we all know, things change in government. So if you click on the OK button, it's going to pull up the interactive map, and then in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little bookmark right there. And so you can click on Weed, and it will actually zoom in, and so each of those lines shows a project that is currently proposed or in the programming of the RTIP right now. And so once you click on the little yellow and black line, it'll bring up another little window. And then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it actually has the full project programming request form with all of the information. So this is all brand new. We're super excited to have it. Caltrans told me that we're actually the only rural agency in the North State to have something this fancy, so we're pretty excited about it. So we wanted to make sure you all knew about that. So if you have questions on projects or you have residents asking, they can go to this site and review the information on that project. Okay, so going back to my presentation, and let's go. Do I point it over there? There we go. Okay, so the next project I wanted to talk about is pavement management, actually. So in 2015, the commission contracted with a firm to develop a countywide pavement management system. That system is called Street Saver, and so it has all of the segments for every single road, paved road in the entire region. The system includes what we call a PCI, which is the Pavement Condition Index, and that's basically a rating. So in 2015, when the contract first started, they brought up a van with all sorts of surveying equipment on the bottom, and they came out and they drove every single paved road segment in the entire county. They took all of that data and put it into Street Saver. Since 2015, we have done additional updates in 2017 and 2019. The City of Weed does have your own license with your segment information specifically. And then just in November or December, one of those months, the commission approved another 3-year contract to continue updates on the data. We have had other agencies that have used the data that is in that system to be able to support a tax measure. So there's a plug for your folks to look at that data if they're interested. And then for the City of Weed on this new contract, your roads are scheduled for update in 2025. So that'll be next year, probably about the same time. We usually try to get the surveys done in the springtime when the weather and roads are not covered in snow and water because we want them to be dry for a good evaluation. I'm just double checking my notes here, make sure I don't miss anything. The one thing I did want to mention is the project is completely funded through the commission. In years past, it has been planning dollars available to the commission to fund the project. This year, we're using those planning funds, and then for the next 2 subsequent years of the contract, that will be funded through the RTIP as well. So, okay. So then I want to give you a kind of a visual. This is actually the executive summary out of Street Saver, and this is actually weed-specific data. So it shows you the square miles of all of your paved roads. It shows you centerline miles, total lane miles, and then on the bottom right-hand corner, it actually shows you what your average PCI was. The disclaimer on this slide is keep in mind your last update was done in 2015, so it is fairly old. It does not include any sort of treatments that have been done since then. So that is all something that when we come back and do the next update, we will update any improvements that have been made to the existing roads and hopefully bring that number up a little bit higher. But that was your average PCI based on what's in the system right now. Okay. And your Public Works Director has access to that system. And then this is just another little slide that shows you kind of historically, if you look at different years, you can see that your segments of roads that goes from not so bad to, needing some work definitely increases as the years continue. Okay. And then the next project, which is one of my main reasons for being here this evening, is we just awarded a contract for a active transportation plan. And actually, if you could go back to the PowerPoint for me for just a second. There you go. Okay. So the active transportation plan, our project team is myself, Alta Planning plus Design Inc., which is our consultant, and then the Siskiyou Outdoor Recreation Alliance. The goal for the project is to prepare a region-wide county active transportation plan that would identify and prioritize infrastructure projects, programs, and policies that meet the needs of the community, and then identify opportunities for pedestrian, bike improvements that could potentially be completed to improve the community's accessibility throughout. The project just kicked off. We had our first meeting in November, and we meet every 2 weeks. And so we're planning on having the final plan done and presented to the Transportation Commission by March of next year, if all goes well. And this was a project that was funded from the California Transportation Commission's Active Transportation Program, with the local funds coming from the commission. So this is a project timeline, kind of gives you a visual of what we just talked about as far as the start of the project. We're in phase 1 right now. We are gathering information. We've been reaching out to our local partners to get any information you may have on current bike lanes or sidewalks or anything like that. We will be working on finalizing the existing conditions report and meeting with our technical advisory committee, which is all of our public works directors, at the end of February. And then we will be presenting that information to the Transportation Commission in April. And also they will be hearing from the consultant team in February on the engagement strategy, which is one of the questions I have for you as a city council. So let me go to this slide. So these are the engagement strategies. So these are the different groups that we're planning on reaching out to, kind of as a short synopsis. It's not the full list, but so we're meeting with technical advisory. We're doing community opinion surveys. We are going to be holding open houses at different milestones throughout the project, and then the mobile outreach at community events. And so the one question I have, the project includes 8 community events. And for the city of Weed, we had identified Carnival as the project to attend here in the community. So if you think there's other events that would be better to gather that public input, let me know. And so we're doing all of the 8 community events and then 9 walking audits, which is on the other side of my slide there. So the walking audits is where the consultants will actually be here in probably April, and they will go through each community and walk the town to see what are the challenges for somebody that may be, limited mobility or, children getting to and from school, that sort of thing. So we can definitely which your public works director will know when we're coming, but if you're interested in just listening and participating in those, definitely reach out and I will be happy to make sure you get the information. The other ones that we're looking at is school districts, local agencies, and community-based groups. So like I said, we have a pretty good long list, but if you have specific groups that are here within your community that you think we need to reach out to, please let me know, and we'll make sure to get those added on so that they get the information. And then the information is we actually have a full page on our website. So this is where we'll go back to so this is actually the survey. And so on the survey, I wanted to show, so this is, and I'll have him flip back over to the actual website where this is linked from. But so on the survey, it is available in Spanish and English. And so if you go down, there you go. So if you scroll down, you'll see all of the questions that we're asking. This is just the online version, but there's a map in here, and I just wanted to have him demo that quick. So on the map, if you click on the Open Map button, And then he's going to zoom into Weed for me because he is way faster on that computer than I was. And say you have a specific location in Weed that you feel needs some pedestrian improvements, say a crosswalk across your main street, 97 combined road out here. Up at the top, you can click on comment, and then it gives you a little black bullet thing. You can click where you want to put a comment, and then in the box, you type in needs a bike lane, or needs a crosswalk, or it needs, more lighting. And so then that comment actually goes to our consultant along with your survey. So if you could go back to the commission, like the commission's page on the website, that one, there you go. And then scroll all the way up for me. So at the very top of that list on the left-hand side, there's a tab that says Regional Active Transportation Plan. So this is the actual site for the project. It has a summary about the project, who the team is, and how folks can get involved. So links to the English survey and the Spanish survey are both on this page. If you scroll down, there you go, right there. And then it also has contact information. If anyone wants to send any comments directly to the team, they can use my general email box at siskucoltc.org, or my phone number's on there as well. And on the survey, I wanted to mention that we realize that not every resident has internet access or is comfortable using online options like this online survey. So I do have an envelope for your wonderful city clerk that has printed copies of both versions of the survey. And it's self-addressed envelope, so I'll leave it with you, and then we'll work on getting it back to us if anybody turns any in. Okay, back to the PowerPoint, please. Okay, and then... Okay, so the next steps, mentioned we're working on the existing conditions analysis. If you have any existing data or planned projects that you're aware of, please make sure we get that so we can get that to our consultant. And then if you have any policies, any active transportation plans yourself, I'm not aware that City of Weed has one right now, but who knows, there might be one out there. We would ask that you help promote the survey. The project is only going to be as successful as the input that we receive from the public. So that's part of the reason we're coming to city council meetings and trying to really promote this. That is the link to the actual project page right there if anybody is interested in learning more about it. And then, as I mentioned, the open house and walk audits will be coming in April. And so we will make sure you know about those. And that is all I have. I did want to mention we do have a Facebook page, and so we do push information out on the Facebook page if you're not already following us. And then our current website is the one that you've been seeing. We are actually in the middle of finalizing a contract to have the commission's own website designed and developed. And so in the next 6 months, we will be switching over to a new website that is completely outside of the county's website. So, and that's all I had. Thank you for the time this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for your presentation, council members.
Go ahead. I have a comment. Yeah.
I was just listening to everything and I got lost a little bit. So you said there's programs going out for the city of Weed. Can you define the programming that's involved as far as? I have some questions regarding the programming. Mm-hmm. Can you define what that programming is? Is it just finding locations? Is it for actual getting something done, or just planning?
So the active transportation plan, if that's what you're asking, is that okay. So that plan is identifying the desired improvements, which will put us in line to go after additional active transportation plan funds for potential construction. And that's one of our goals, is to have a plan. Right now, we can say, yeah, we would love to have sidewalks in all of our communities, and we want to have bike lanes, and we want to have safe routes for kids to get to school, but we don't have anything in a written plan that has identified those as a need. And so going after grant money to build it is going to be easier when we actually have this plan completed.
Okay. You said in 2025 you're going to be looking at the City of Weed's pavement issues.
Yep.
Again, still a plan, but there's no funds available. It's just, again, organizing a plan to improve the streets?
So the pavement management system is strictly data. It is literally saying this road here, the the out of 0 to 100 scale is at a 35.
Okay.
And so that data is actually used when we try to program projects into the STIP, the State Transportation Improvement Program. That's one of the boxes that we have to check. So it definitely helps with getting the funding, but is it going to be a fix-all for everything? Unfortunately not.
Okay, so it's still planning primarily?
Yes.
Okay.
It's data to support the need for funding.
I got you. The last one is about a year and a half or 2 years ago, didn't the state come through? We have a particular strange piece of roadway, which is Old Highway 97, which is now 273, 263, one of those weird numbers. They came through and did the same thing with active transportation plan and wasn't projected to be. They had a projected study of 3 or 4 years. So 2026 was something where they were going to come out and implement. Are you aware of anything in that, or are you combining efforts?
That is, so our plan is on the non-state highways, but I am aware of the project that you're referring to. We've had some discussions recently about that, and
Okay.
My recollection is 2026 is when it's supposed to be constructed. And so that would be something that we would be working with city staff to make sure that before that goes to construction, that anything that is incorporated is agreeable to the city.
So we could tie in with it. That's, okay, thank you.
Are you talking about the one where we went downtown and walked around?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we did not go downtown. We went on the boulevard.
On the boulevard.
Boulevard project?
Yes.
Is that a 26 or 27?
I believe it's a 26.
So I think
Okay.
I
And
think
that's-
they said 26, but
Right,
that
it was,
doesn't, you know.
it's going
state.
from the bank to A12. Mechanics Bank
Yeah.
out to A12. But are you talking about the part from Ray's out onto the freeway? Isn't that 273, 63, 53, 40,
Well, I don't know. what it is.
65?
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
yeah,
That
263 is on the
1
north
mile
end of
long.
I think
Wairika.
we stopped walking at Ray's.
Yeah,
So I don't know what,
I haven't
if it
heard
goes
anything
any
about
further
that.
than that or not, but
Haven't.
yeah.
So I have not heard anything about that either. The one thing I do want to mention on that note, though, is if there are concerns on the state highway, we actually have an annual meeting with Caltrans and let them know of specific concerns. And we actually came around, I met with all of the city staff this year, came and did individual meetings, and we talked about that. But if there are concerns on the state highway that you have throughout the year, you're welcome to send them to me in an email, and then I can make sure that Caltrans has that, because they do keep a full list. And as we meet every year, they're like, this is the concerns we have, is this still a concern? And so there's some that's been on there for multiple years.
and they had a similar interactive map. Not, actually, the state spends more money, but anyway.
Yeah.
It's our money, anyway.
Yes, but feel free to send those to me if you have specific concerns, and I'd be happy to move those up the chain to Caltrans.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Ms. Cummings, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Great. Just,
John?
no, you're not the county. You're actually independent from the county, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now.
Complicated, but yes.
Yes.
The funding that you help us, we're going to get, basically, we're going to make a plan. We're going to plan, and we're going to look for the grants. So you're going to help the city look for those grants. That's your function?
That's one of my functions, yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, one of them,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the difference between, let's say, McLeod is not incorporated and their roads are in fantastic shape. Obviously, the county has enough money to take care of them, but the funding for the incorporated cities seems to, things have changed there. It's like we're on our own. Is there, what I guess I'm saying, I don't understand how, what the difference is between when you're incorporated, you don't get the funds that the county would get, or equivalent for the amount of, it seems like you had X amount of road, everybody's going to get X amount, or X amount of road that needs to be repaired. You follow me? What?
Yeah, I think it's based on formulas of the number of maintained miles that you have. I would have to do some research to say for 100% that that's why, but because you have a smaller amount of miles, you only get a certain amount of money. With the RTIP, which is that program we were talking about for Alameda Church and all those roads, that one is not allocated. We can't allocate it by the number of maintained miles. And so how we approach that program is I have 10 agencies that are looking for money for funding, and we look at making sure that every agency has a part of that pool. That's just the way I've always operated that, and it's seemed to work so far. But as far as your day-to-day stuff, that is, I think it's dependent on the number of maintained miles you have. So, but I'd be happy to do some more research and dig in a little bit further and get you an answer on that if you would like.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question. How many cities in Siskiyou County have you worked with? And have you done what you're talking about with Mount Shasta, Wairika?
Let me hang on to that question.
Okay.
So the commission is made up of 6 members. There's 3 of the members and an alternate that are they're from the cities. And then there's 3 board of supervisors with a board of supervisor alternate. So there's a representative from Dunsmuir, myself from Weed, and somebody from Wairika that sit on this commission. And the alternate is from Fort Jones. And I've been on it 4 or 5, I don't know how many years, but our public works director is very involved and very savvy on this LTC. So, but go ahead. Bye, Bob.
It's like LAFCO. But yeah, just so, have you already done this with other cities in the county? On these projects, it's not just Weed, right? This is for
No, this-
Mount Shasta or Dunsmuir
Yes.
or McLeod.
So for the RTIP, we started the process. So to kind of give you a little bit of history, so I moved back into the position as a full-time employee on August 21st. And so my first project right out the gate was, okay, send me your list of requested projects. And I sent that out to all of the agencies. So I work with all 10 agencies. After I received all of their requests, I went around and I met with every single agency in the entire region and talked about the projects that you already had programmed, because you do have another project that was programmed prior to this last round, looking at, the state is very interested in making sure that we're putting in complete streets components, which is sidewalks, curb gutter, bike lanes, that sort of thing, to encourage folks to get out of their cars and, walk around your community. So we talked about that and what may be the barriers for those projects. And in 9 times out of 10, the barriers to adding those components to a project is the cost. And so that's the one thing that we look at is, how much money do we have? How many projects can we afford to fund? And then I went back and I looked at who already had projects and what those amounts were, and I basically developed a proposed programming that went to the full TAC, which is representatives from all 10 agencies here in the region. They reviewed it, voted to push it to the commission for final approval, and then that went to the commission in December. So they are all very much involved, and honestly, I've been more involved with them being in this new position as a full-time employee, so that's been really nice. But as far as these presentations, you are my very first of the year.
Okay, thank you.
I've already got 5 or 6 more scheduled. It's like, just let the snow stay away for a little while.
Thank you.
On Mondays.
Thank you.
So, yeah, absolutely.
And it is, sorry, it's very, they share well, unlike you and I. They share well.
They do.
I mean, when, I'm just using Weed for an example. If Weed had a project last year, they're probably not going to get one for another couple of years because the other, now, it may cost more for ours than the other, but Montague will get something and Doris will get something, and then it cycles back around.
Yes.
It's very well run. And we had a prior director prior to Melissa that wasn't working out well. And so she has taken this on full-time and is doing a great job. And this is one of the first things that she's doing, is going to e-count. She already met with all the public works directors and city managers and clerks. No, just clerk.
Chris and I.
And so now she's coming to the councils.
Okay, thank you.
And I will speak for Craig and just say we are very happy to have Melissa back. She's wonderful.
Thank you.
So we have 10 agencies, so that's all 9 cities and the county.
Correct.
Okay.
A lot of, but, back to what Councilmember Tablero was saying, my very first meeting I ever sat down and met with the TAC was in 2011, and I almost walked out of the room and be like, what am I thinking? But different leadership at the time. And so I feel like in the last, 12 years, every time we sit down at the table, they understand there's not enough money. We have to work together to get stuff accomplished. Your public works director went after a grant years ago for Vista Drive, ended up securing a very large grant and actually gave up funds in the STIP program and allowed other agencies to have that money. I mean, that's the kind of things that we have to do together collectively and support each other in those goals, because that's the only thing that's ever going to make it any better as far as financial stuff. So I'm actually in the middle, before I came down this afternoon, I'm working on a grant right now to the state for a evacuation, let's see if I can remember what I titled this thing, the Siskiyou County Evacuation and Preparedness Plan. It is a region-wide project to basically identify evacuation routes and protocols and making sure that our disadvantaged communities and residents are, they have resources, to get out in the event of a fire. And so that's something I'm working with County OES on. Again, it's a partnership grant. We're going after the money to see if we can bring it in, and it will involve every agency in this entire county.
But we're first, right?
Always, as long as I'm on that commission. Well, and that was, Tim, that was my last thing that I was going to say about, we talked about the other day at the meeting, community preparedness meetings and trainings, which,
Yeah. And one thing we're putting
We'll
in
get
there,
there.
and I'm talking with OES this afternoon, is we're putting in some educational materials that we can give to residents when we're doing community outreach events, because our plan is similar to the ATP project, going out and getting into the communities, meeting with people, giving them packets that they can have, that this is your preparedness plan, this is what you need to have ready to go when the next fire comes. So
we're all done with them.
you got listed twice in my application, so let's hope you are. Yes. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for
Thank you.
your report. Any other questions from the council members, staff? All right. Now we'll move on to item 7, the consent agenda.
Questions? I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as written.
I will second it.
Okay, we have a motion that's been placed and seconded. Do we have any public comment? All right, seeing as there is none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Seeing as we have no items removed from consent, we'll move on to item 9, which is council business. Item A, finance by motion. Council received the draft audit and consider resolution number 03-2024, accepting and filing the fiscal year 2021 to 2022 basic financial statements and single audit reports. I believe this is going to come with a presentation.
Come on down.
Oh, bless you.
To follow that, though, I next year I'm going to do a PowerPoint slide and put you all to sleep.
Do like a cartoon or something.
Yeah, I could
Bugs
do a
Bunny.
little dance or something. No, anyway, the audit. It is late. Yeah. No, I mean not time. The audit was late. So as we know, there was a lot of, this is the 21-22 audit. So, which was due by 3/31/23. So it is late. We had a lot of challenges in this audit. The biggest challenge, I think, was City Hall was transitioning almost all of the people, I think, in 2021-22, with Emily leaving, Anna coming on, City Hall, other people turning over, Diana retiring, and so forth. So it created a lot of difficulties with the audit, as far as, a lot of people didn't receive adequate training, and, there were some mistakes made, and, a lot of things. I think the biggest thing was, with the person that I usually deal with, which is the finance director, obviously we all know what happened with Anna. And so that was tough. And it put a lot of pressure on the audit and put a lot of pressure on Jill. But as I told the audit committee, I was very, very happy, very surprised at how smooth the audit actually went. So we had our challenges. There's quite a few adjustments, but we made it through it. We found everything that was requested, which was great because, these people coming in and not knowing somebody else did it and where that paperwork was and what they did, if there was a question as to, why this balance is like this. I really want to praise Jill, and because without her and without the knowledge that she had, without all of the endless hours of digging into stuff that I said, hey, this balance isn't right, and she would dig into it and find the problems, and we'd discuss it, and we'd come up with the answer. And without Jill, this audit wouldn't have taken place, wouldn't have happened. I mean, I probably would have had to, either wait to get somebody else like Jill or, do a report modification, which, we don't want to do. So I really, really praise Jill, and I praise the City Hall staff. They're doing really, really good. They learned a lot during the audit. One of the things I like to do with the audit is train, because the better you guys do, then the better the audit is, and I can actually get in and get out instead of spending a lot of time here. So I think the group you have right now, City Council, they're good. I think they've come a long way since the time they started, and so I think that's a positive for the city going forward. And so I think that when it comes to the audit findings in the back, starting I think on page 53, a lot of those I really do expect for those to go away in the next audit. I think Jill's got a great handle on it. I know she's going to dig into 22, 23 and get it ready, with a fine-tooth comb. So that's great. That's what I love to hear out of finance directors. That they're going to give it their all. It looks like the fire department already and City Hall took care of the one finding, which was switching these people over from 1099 to employees. So that's great. Took care of that. And so I think going forward, it's going to get a lot better. It was tough. It was a little messy, a lot of adjustments, but we got through it. So that's the positive news right there. And the city did great. I mean, the general fund is, a couple years ago was kind of hemorrhaging, and it's had a couple good solid years. Some of the COVID relief money has really helped. The enterprise funds are doing great. They're all positive, good cash flow. So that's what you want out of your enterprise funds, so you can be sticking some money away for the projects in the future. A lot of the city personnel actually pitched in quite well. I know that Brian helped me quite a bit during the audit with a couple of the grants. And, Craig was invaluable, and Sandra as well. So, so it went really well from that standpoint. We were able to get everything done. As far as implementation, the new lease standard, GASB 87, was implemented this year. So that, if you have questions on that, you could ask, but that was a standard. There is one coming up that could possibly affect the city from the police and the fire and City Hall at the accounting system with all of the cloud-based technology that's out there, the programs and so forth where you're basically using someone else's program, licensing that. It's called GASB 96. It's similar to leases, where subscription-based technology is, if you have a long-term contract with them, then you have a right to use that asset. And you've got to book that asset, and you're basically purchasing it. So you might have let's say a 5-year subscription contract, and you're paying, $50,000 a year. Well, you've got to now take that $250,000 and you got to put that on the balance sheet as an asset, and you've got to record. It's similar to just like purchasing it. So it's complicated, but Jill's going to walk you guys through it and see, go through all the different contracts that you might have, whether they're short-term, long-term, whether they apply or they don't apply. And so that's something that is for the 22-23 year. So she'll need to get that done, as she's preparing for the audit. Compensated absences, which is your vacation payable and sick payable and so forth, that's changing for 23-24. So I'll be going over that with Jill as well so she can get up to speed on the changes with that. It's going to kind of, the difficulty there will be that we've got to project what we think we're going to pay. So there's going to be some subjective parts to it, and it's going to drive us all nuts. But anyways, we'll get through that as well. It was a single audit this year. I had one small finding on this single audit, one question cost, which the city already knew about. The city already actually took care of it and all of that, after the fact and repaid that money to the EDA. The Vista Drive project, and that was on the Vista Drive project. Just a small oversight there, so nothing major. The Vista Drive project did get finished, did get capitalized during the year, so that was about 6.7, something like that. So that project went really well. And so from a single audit standpoint, it is actually very good audit findings from that standpoint. There wasn't any serious unknown question cost. So that's a good thing. This year, I don't think will be a single audit going in 22-23, but we'll see. But single audits are always a little bit more intense. Other than that, I'll open it up for questions if anybody has any.
You're not coming back at the end of March with the next one, are you? Is it going to be late too?
No, we're not going to have that.
March is a single audit date. When you're a single audit, it's due 9 months instead of 12. So if it's not a single audit, it'll be June 30th. But still,
Of
yeah.
this year?
Yeah, and
That's kind of.
yeah, and with the I'm right in the middle of audit season, pretty buried with about 6 or 7 going on at the same time right now. So, and the fact that Jill's got quite a process to go through, it will probably be late, but still, late doesn't have too many ramifications that I know of.
Good.
They don't seem to. So I think if we were to shoot for late spring, early summer, late summer, I think we'll still be okay. And then we can be ahead of the game at
All caught
that.
up?
Get all caught up and right.
I'd like to make a comment, though. I do feel when we looked at the audit, there was a lot of items that were kind of reminiscent of days past. However, I also felt very comfortable with the fact that we have a path forward. They were well-defined, and that Jill and Charlie are on the same page. And I think it's pretty comforting. It gets pretty complex, I have to tell you. It's quite the experience. But I do feel good that Jill's on board with us, and I think going forward we'll be exploring a few ways to remedy some of our shortcomings. And so I want to thank you, Charlie, and I want to thank you, Jill.
Yeah. I think Jill, and just to jump on that real quick, I think Jill has the tools to take care of some of these audit findings, or all of these actually, that have been kind of ongoing for several years now. And so that's a real plus for the city. I'm glad she's here as well. And so look forward to a nice, clean audit. Gonna hold you to it. Anyway. Don't let her go. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
No, mine is just that it's my first audit or being involved or as a council person, but already Jill has helped me understand a lot of questions I've had. So thank you, and you'll be getting a lot more from me. So I appreciate the time that she takes out and explains it for down at my level that I could understand it. But anyway, I've heard real good things about you, Charlie, from my wife who works there. So
And she has my number. You guys can call me anytime, really. I
so thank you.
don't
guys.
mind answering those questions as well.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. One of the reasons why I was pressing Jill to take the job is because she has about 5 years' experience working for the auditor's
Absolutely.
office in the county. And I was like, that makes it much, much easier for the staff and everybody else. Somebody has all that pre-audit experience.
I
So,
agree.
Yep.
Well, just the knowledge of, there's knowledge of accounting, and there's knowledge of governmental accounting.
That's the big one.
And that's huge. And so that's a huge plus to have somebody like Jill that has that, so.
I also think that we'll be coming, Jill or somebody, or maybe Tim, coming back to the council for some adjustments further down the road for potentially software issues and potentially personnel issues. At least that's what I was hearing. I want to make sure that Jill has the support that she needs to get her job done. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Again, thank you, Charlie.
All right, you're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from staff or council? All right. Any public comment? All right. Right? Well, seeing as there is no public comment, I would like to echo the sentiment of the council members and staff and thanking Jill and Charlie and everyone that was involved in the audit and our success going forward. It's going to be very positive for the city of Weed as we move forward through this decade.
With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number.
We didn't have that.
Hold on. I'm offline again. With that, I'd like to take the chance to approve the audit and consider resolution number 03-2024 by accepting and filing it for the fiscal year 2021 through 2022 basic financial statements and single audit reports.
I will second that.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? Any public comment on the motion? Seeing as there is none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 9B, public safety. By motion, council will consider the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 472, 2023, amending of the WMC regarding administrative fines and penalties.
So in discussions last month, it was regarding public nuisance abatement. It was brought up by staff that there are some conflicts from the 1978 Title I municipal codes, as well as some of the building codes from 2015, to be in alignment with the 2021 penalties and fines established within the administrative citation process. Council has just clarified that we will be acting upon the 2021 instead of the 1978 that we have been. We will also be, there was also some changes to the Title 16 for the fines. They were not in line with the 2021. Those have been brought down to where they can be justified with staff time. The biggest thing here is that the only requirement for us was to meet the requirements of the 2021 was we had to order some new citations. When we do hand out administrative citations, they've been on the 1978 fines and penalties scale. We will be going to the 2021 on the new citations.
Do we have any questions or comments from the council?
No, great idea to go from 1978 to 2021.
Well,
for it.
2021, it's just this, we're just clarifying that we will be acting within the 2021 guidelines, not the 1978, not the 2015. So it's just clarifying that in some wording.
Is the crux, excuse me, Mayor, may I? Is the crux of a lot of this just increasing the penalty and making them consistent?
It's making the municipal code consistent. It's clearly stating that we are acting within the guidelines of the 2021 municipal code in Title 19 and not the 1978 guidelines in Title I.
Is the approach any different? In other words, I see that we are, we're starting off at $100 in some situations and $130 in others.
Right. So to clarify on that, the 1978 guidelines, we're issuing citations for 50, 100, and 250.
Okay.
So in that aspect, we will now be going to 100, 200, and 500.
Okay.
As far as it pertains to building code, we will be going away from the 1,000, 5,000, 25,000, and we'll be bringing that back down to, I believe it's $1,000 per violation, with a citation available every day that the violation exists. At $1,000, but there was some, speaking with counsel, you had to be able to justify that fine, and 25,000, we never, that was prior to our current counsel, whoever established that fine didn't clearly justify why it went 1,000, 5,000, 25,000 in municipal code. There was no justification for that.
Well, I thought we made clarification. Whether that came out in the translation is probably a little bit different. But the intent of that was never in question.
I'll defer to counsel on that.
I just wanted to help clarify for the council. So for the most part, all of the fines in the municipal code, well, as Chief said, Title 19, which is our administrative citation section, which we just recently adopted, that one had the amounts of the fines that we could impose that were based on the current iteration of state law.
Okay.
In Title I, it was apparently the 78 version. I was not practicing law in 1978, but apparently it was less. The fines couldn't be more than $50 for the first one. So we increased those so that they're all consistent, and they're at the maximum amount that we are able to levy under the government code. Since 1978, and in fact, since I started practicing, the state legislature added this additional component for building code violations, and it allows a city to actually levy slightly increased amounts for those. And so that's what you noticed, Mayor Pro Tem, regarding the $130, $700, and $1,300. So that's a separate type of fine when it relates to a violation of a building or safety code.
So, and I also heard that we can fine on a daily basis.
That's correct. Yes, that's always been the case. Yeah.
So we have a party that's in violation. We go and we issue them a citation. We can issue them a citation the next day without even indicating that there's a correction period? Or is that administrative?
No, we do have to allow for a correction period before we can impose the very first fine.
Okay.
And this is when we're talking about a
Okay, I gotcha.
continuing nuisance, okay? So if someone is maintaining, solid waste on their property such that it, brings rats and whatnot, you have to give them the opportunity, you have to let them know that there's a violation, and you have to give them a reasonable opportunity to fix it, and tell them that if they don't, they will be subject to fines. And at that point, if the time passes and they haven't remedied it, then you can fine them.
I got it now. My brain was turning everything backwards. It's okay.
There are cases when you can fine them immediately, but that's usually for things that aren't like a property-related
Right.
nuisance crime. That's for, someone who's
Okay, so we have
drinking
to
in
wait the
public or
period
something.
before we initiate the fine,
Yeah.
and then we can do it daily if they don't
You
correct.
have to give them a chance
You got to give them a
to
chance to
try to
correct it.
clean it
Yeah.
up.
Okay.
Then if you don't, then you hammer them.
Well, that's what was my
And then
question.
the third thing that we did with this ordinance, which relates to Title 16, which is your vacancy rules, that we decreased the amount so that they are within the guidelines provided by the government code. Because the up to $25,000 fine, there was no legal authorization under state law to levy that amount as a fine for a violation of a local ordinance. So what we've done is made that provision lawful and enforceable, our fines would be enforceable
Okay.
and
Any-
consistent with all the other ones. So we don't have to,
Consistent and enforceable are key.
yeah.
Any other
I still would
questions or
like a more
comments?
expensive, but I'll go with that. I'm fine.
I'm good. I'm good. I understand it.
Need a motion?
I would accept a motion.
I move to introduce.
Do we have any public comment? Well, we don't have any public, so I will take that as a no.
What, is there somebody coming in? I heard the door. Just kidding.
Okay, now we're ready. Council will consider the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 472-2023, amending of the Weed Municipal Code regarding administrative fines and penalties.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any public comments? Seeing as there's none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to item 10, which is staff reports. And we'll start with Chief Mayberry.
I don't have much. We participated in the 18th annual Weed Shop with a Cop. As I've stated in past years, there's a reason why we hold it within house and don't, it's not that we don't think that what they're doing and as a county group of law enforcement is great. When we seek local donors, we like to keep the money local with local businesses. So that's why we keep it in-house. We had 10, 2 kids actually had to go home sick that day. So we ended up with 8 and we were able to work around that and get their shopping list filled. But it was a good experience. So that's all I have.
And turkey and Christmas dinners?
That's not the police department, but
Oh, it's not?
That's just staff that helps with that. Yeah,
Oh,
that's.
sorry.
But take,
All right, and would the city manager like to take staff report for Public Works? Any? No? All right. Finance Director?
I don't have a lot to report, just glad to have 21-22 audit behind us, and I'm digging into 22-23, just trying to get that ready and get Charlie's laundry list ready for him, so when he's ready to start that audit, we can get that out and hopefully clear off those findings.
thanks.
All right. Chief?
Yeah, I left you the incident report that we had for December 1st through today, and I was able to submit the grant for the fuel reduction that you approved on Tuesday. So things are looking pretty good with that, and from what I've heard so far, hopefully we can get it.
How much was the grant?
It ended up being $2,620,000.
That'll cut a few trees, just a little brush.
It's a total of 580 acres. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot of work. It actually will connect to a project that Caltrans is working on. If you're familiar with the area they worked on down by the scales in Dunsmuir, all that reduction work, they're planning on continuing north, and that will eventually come through here, which actually reduced my project area, which was helpful to keep it within the budget. And so our project will connect to that one, and also the Jefferson Resource Company is working on one that will be more towards the western part of I-5. And then actually they're going to be doing some work or applying for a grant to do some work on some City of Weed land also up off a hillside. So they all should connect, which will help us create even more defensible space and fuel reduction.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Madam Clerk?
A few things. We have Nathaniel tonight because Jeremy welcomed a baby boy this morning.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Name is yet to be determined, last we heard. Closed on Monday, so I will not have your documents ready until Tuesday, just to remind you. I will be out of the office from the 22nd through the 29th, returning on the 30th. And in my absence, Tim will be the interim city clerk. I'll know, so please, all the problems, make sure they're all in that week. And they go straight to Tim.
Tim's getting sick already,
All right.
I don't have any
Counselor?
report this evening. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Mayor, just real quickly, I'll go down just kind of some bullet points. We're seeing a lot of movement, staff is, on commercial property and activity in South Weed. Wendy's finally got their plan submittal. We had a few hiccups there. You may have seen they're also, Brandy's also doing the deal in Wairika as well.
They are going to do Wendy's there?
Yeah, Burger King is turning into a Wendy's there as well.
Oh, good.
So she's got a couple other pieces of parcels down on South Side under contract for some potential. One of them I would love to see happen, come to fruition. You know, not all these things always come in. Sometimes these developers come in with all these grandiose things, and then it goes to committee with some of these companies, and sometimes it gets kicked back out. So unfortunately, but I think we're seeing some good momentum down there. I got some really good news. We just found out a couple days ago that the east side of the Lincoln Heights project is completely charged. So now they have power on both sides. So pretty much the underground utility district has been completed, which is really nice. I got a hold of Dan Baker, who came and gave a report a couple months ago, and he informed me that it was everything on the east side was energized last week. So it's
Nothing left to do for us.
nope.
Well, except for
Well, we got to go back and pave. We got to go pave the roads. That's one of the first things that former Councilmember Green asked me is, "Are we going to leave the roads like that?" And I said, "Of course we are." No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, he's promised me he's going to get his plans in pretty soon too, which I hope so. So that's good. Some of you might have noticed with the downtown storefront arts projects are coming along nicely. And I actually was standing in front on two separate occasions with an artist that was working and just asking some questions. And a person came over and said, "Hey, what's going in here?" And then second day I was over there, another person came over, "What kind of store's coming in here?" I mean, so it's already kind of built. It helps me think that these folks are actually going to see, you know, instead of an ugly storefront, something that, you know, is presentable.
and it builds interest.
Exactly. It has the interest and it keeps their interest. So, we're,
I saw you on TV, by the way.
oh, thanks. And then Tesla is the charging stations, the V4s. I just talked to Richard Santini with Tesla this morning, and he said that we should know pretty soon when they're going to get those installed, which, I mean, the lot is done. All they've got to do is literally lock and plug in the chargers, and they'll be ready to go. We're excited about having 16 superchargers coming in there. And I've talked to Craig and Chris, and we're going to look at possibly replacing some of the old Christmas decorations in downtown Weed as well. Some of it is, it's looking kind of shoddy. It's just, they've seen their better day. So I'd like to take a little bit more pride in our Christmas decorations for downtown. So
When those I had 3 people, 3 days in a row ask me why we hadn't put up all the Christmas decorations on the boulevard. And I had to answer, we haven't. But then I got texts back from all 3 saying, they're there.
yeah, we got them out. It's just that we just they need to be replaced.
Not that bold.
Yeah. We get catalogs all the time.
A little more pop.
A little bit more pop.
A little more
So, you know, and that's the thing about it is, you know, I know some people might look at it as like, yeah, but you're just, what's the old saying, putting lipstick on a pig kind of approach.
It's still, you gotta, if we're the city, we gotta at least make the start as well.
Exactly. And you think about your favorite places to go visit and spend money are places that they put a lot of lipstick on it because they do, because, you know, we've been to those towns, and sometimes it's one of our favorite places to go to those places and shop, is because it looks festive. It looks like someplace you want to go spend some Christmas dollars. I'm sorry, holiday dollars. So I don't want to get anybody upset. The sign project is coming along really well, too. I'm meeting with COS next week. We're going to be talking about how much they're going to throw into the kitty as well. We've already got, Crystal Geyser has generously donated $15,000 to go toward the digital sign, so that's good. And our vacant building registry is in place, and after a couple council meetings, you guys really wanted us to push that forward. We did. Some of them are a little slower than we'd like, and we're going to send them little nice reminders, reminding them to get it in soon. But we had a couple that immediately, which, you know, the purpose of this was twofold. A, for us to be able to get a hold of the business in case there is an issue with the piece of property. And I say business, I'm talking about building owners. And B is to kind of spur them into either selling or leasing the vacant building. I mean, I'm a prime example. I'm an owner of a building down there, and we have it registered, and it's, you know, it's for sale. And and we already saw that, you know, taking place too. So it works. It just has to be, the system has to be worked as well. So. And finally, I wanted to remind everybody, although we're a couple days past, on January the 9th was National Law Enforcement Day. And I just want to recognize our police department. They are worked their tails off. You know, Chief and I talk about, especially when it comes to the snowstorms, or just not even snowstorms, just when we get the snow on South Weed. You know, it's a stressful time for our police department to go down there, very stressful. And we had a lot of factors over the last couple of days that we didn't think were going to be factors, and they end up being factors. But I just want to tell Chief Mayberry and our police department, we appreciate what you do. You know, we have these guys go through these academies, and they're all gung-ho, you know, to do these things. And then, but the reality is some days you're going to be out on the boulevard on South Weed and you know, correcting some truck drivers and where they should and should not be going.
Well, you freeze your behind off, too.
Yes, and that's what I was getting ready to say. And I think we've ordered them some new suits, snow suits and rain jackets. I'm sorry, the rain jackets to help with some, you know, like I said, these guys go out there, and it's a thankless thing. Chief was out there last night working it. So it's not just, you know, our guys out there. It's you know, it's all the way to the top, and it makes a huge difference. And to that, I just want to say thank you and everything that they do, because it's a thankless job a lot of the time. So, and with that, that's all I have to report.
All right. Well, thank you, staff, for the reports. And at this point, we are at item 11, which is adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any public comment? Motion carries.
So
Meeting is adjourned.
when can I